fact, I was a black belt, but I'm not really sure anymore with lockdown and not having trained in 5,700 years. But actually, everyone has Fight Club. Send over any questions that you have, and you know what? Put your belt in the comments and where you are in the world. I love knowing where everybody is and if you're training and all that jazz. And you know, even if you're watching this video later on, make sure to still put it in the comments. I always love to know who I'm talking to, where they are in the world, and all that jazz. All right. Oh, hello, Rushi. How's it going? I'm just on my computer setting up some tech stuff, pretending to know what I'm doing with the computer. I don't. I never know what I'm doing. So I just kind of sit back and drink coffee and hope my tech team helps me out. All right. Texas. Wow, what time is it in Texas? Ecuador. What time is it in Ecuador? Blue belt. What a great belt. Oh, okay. I'm so excited about outer hips. I get really excited about the weirdest things in the world. But today's class, you can actually, I called it really fun, some great drills for the outer hips, but I called today's class outer hip stretch. But to find it, you can search Look Mom No Hands because some great drills for those outer hips. And if the outside of the hips are tight, so I'm just going to blabber till you guys send in some questions. Oh, in the UK. In the UK, it is, here it's 8:24 a.m. In the UK, it is 4:24 p.m. And then here, you're looking for tips to help my BJJ and MMA classes. So you teach, so you know what we have. And what type of tips? Are you looking for stretches to teach? Are you looking for stretches for yourself? Like what type of tips? The greatest Canadian yoga BJJ lady of all time. Well, thank you. I think I might be the only one from Canada. They always make fun of me, the staff, for being the polite Canadian. But you know, I'm gonna take it. Thank you. Thank you, Crazy Beardo. Okay, and you know what? You're all into yoga, looking for tips to help your jiu-jitsu and MMA classes. We have our yoga for BJJ instructor training, and it's gonna change your life. Yeah, teaching BJJ students yoga. So we have our yoga for BJJ teacher training, and I'll tell you right now, it's phenomenal. I've done my 200-hour and I'm in my 500-hour advanced yoga teacher training, so I actually know what I'm talking about when I blabber to all you guys. And the Yoga for BJJ instructor course that we have, you can just jump in the link in the profile, is phenomenal because it's designed for people that are jiu-jitsu people or people that are athletes that are a bit more stiff. And the sequences are phenomenal. The warm-up actually changed my life. It's still my favorite of all time. Like, I don't start a class without running that warm-up. And because it starts with nice slow movements, moves through the back, the torso, just everything. You'll feel like $1,000,000. So DM me on the Instagram or just check out the profile, the link in the profile of instructors. And Arizona, white belt. Oh, you started training a month ago. Great, great, awesome. I think, I hope Canada just went into its third lockdown. By third, I mean 57th lockdown. But everyone kind of has fight clubs, don't they? Strengthening the lower abs that doesn't bend any. That doesn't bend. What do you mean the lower abs don't bend? Forward? Okay, so that actually kind of ties in. Really great question. I'm going to wait for more information from you so I can answer your question a little bit better, Perez. So I always interrupt myself and everyone always makes fun of me. Outer hips. If these outer hips are tight, look at what they're connected to. They're connected to the back, and there's also ligaments that move through being connected in the knee. Croatia, hi. And it's connected to the knee. So all this can get really tight, especially through jiu-jitsu. Oh, your lower back. Okay, you know what? Try this. So your lower back is fused together. So keep watching this. And I want to know, you might be able to do this. Okay, if obviously there's pain, don't do it, but I want you to try. Blue belt, Logan Lake in BC. Hey, British Columbia. Awesome. Okay, So keep watching, Perez. You might build this lower back. I'm going to build up to this, but outer hips. And it's, we have not a ton of muscles out here, but we do have ligaments that move through tendons. So they get tight because it's not often in life that we're crossing the knee over the midline, but in jiu-jitsu, that's our scissor sweep. We do it all the time. So outer hips get super tight. Okay, try this. This is also in my live class. You can search on the website. Look, Mom, no hands. Drill number 1 is starting on your back and having the knees above the hips. Now watch this. Taking the outer right ankle. It's almost like a triangle, but I want you to take the outer right ankle on top of the quad, onto opposite quad. It's impossible to take your outer right ankle on the same quad. If you can do that, we have more issues than being inflexible. So the outer right ankle on the left quad, and use the left foot to pull in. So you'll feel a stretch to the outside of the hip, and resetting. Boom, other side. And I just have my head up because I'm kind of watching the comments and chatting with everyone. But you can chill and put your head down. Now, Perez, for you, lower back, well, for everybody, lower core, push the lower back into the ground. And what that does is it engages the lower core, because really commonly, if we do something like leg raises, the hip flexors try to take over the party. They always take over, and it's like, guys, I don't need you to take over the party right now. I don't. So, knees above the hips, push the lower back to the ground, first drill. Not quite a triangle, almost a triangle. Will this help your triangle? Yes, because it increases the range of motion. And move through this drill. You may find that the right or the left side is more tight, and if the one side is more tight, go ahead and stretch that side a little bit longer. That's really, really common for one side to be more tight. We are not perfectly symmetrical because we use our right and left side for different things, especially in jiu-jitsu. So this is level 1, the entire time, lower back to the ground. You may find a little bit of burning, which is really nice. Level 2 is sitting up, and you can post the hands behind you if you need. Same thing, right? Same thing. Now we have more balance through the back. Level 3, and you know what? You can put the foot on the ground. You guys ready for level 3? Let's add boat pose. So boat pose is really just core, right? Boat pose is core. So you're sitting. See if you can keep the back straight, hands in front, and shins parallel to the ground, or straighten the legs. So here we go, no hands. Boom, and now if you're flexible, net the bottom leg, bring it to the ground like that. Here's the drill, and that'll stretch, really nice stretch outside of the hips. If this bothers your knees, then just do the variation before with the foot on the ground. Boat pose, triangle or pigeon, and drop. And other side. So see if you can move through this both sides. And the neat thing is, like, some people are too tight through the outer hips, and that's why you start with the one on the ground. But the neat thing about this is this will bring awareness through the legs, right? Has anyone ever played that guard game where you're on your back and you play with the guard with no hands and you're like trying to keep someone from passing, and you're just using the legs and bringing that awareness and movement through the legs, and you don't want to let them pass. It's super fun to do. This isn't all that different where I'm sitting up and I've got my core engaged, I've got everything engaged, but you're adding more difficult movements with stretching and mobility. So it's super cool. So that's a really fun drill. If you can't do this, then take it a step back and really just prop that bottom foot on the ground. You can use your hands if you need to. It's all about building up to it. And then the first level, it just feels really nice, is this bad boy, lower core on the ground. And the full class is online. I made a whole class for you guys. Looks like it will help my guard. Yeah, and you know what, Perez? Let me know how that is on your lower back, because there's no bending. And I actually I feel like, you know, I'm always like, oh, I had a surgery. I'm like, so many people have had surgeries and injuries, right? But when I had my hip surgery, they had to do some work to the lower core, and I had to, they, you know, I think so, but I think they did it just, they actually dislocate the hip, do the work when I had, and put it back together. And so obviously that affected the lower core. So I didn't have a lower core. I didn't have it. I did this. So this might be able to help you. No space in the lower back. And it's really important to strengthen that lower core. So I'm really glad you asked that, because the hip flexors take over and the upper core always take over. I'm like, what about the lower core? So if you're able to strengthen that weak link, then you're killing it. And jump online, try the whole class, because we warm up properly. It's really, really nice dynamic stretches and movements. All right. Wow. Okay, so send over some more questions, you guys. Really great questions. It seems, and anything having to do with yoga for BJJ related, there actually is coffee in here. You know, when you have like a TV show or you're watching something and they're drinking it and you're like, there's no coffee in there. Or someone takes a picture, there's no coffee. You're like, there's actually coffee in this. Yeah, DMS, let us know how it goes, Perez. Another really, really great drill for the hips, a really fun one, that's also in the live class, is pigeon. Let's talk about pigeon pose for a minute, okay? Let me see, what does my comment say? Something for a mid-back stretch. Oh, good. So we'll come back to this pigeon pose with the knees. Mid-back through the thoracic spine. Do you know what? If you go into my class from last week, it's like a shoulder class, and you can DM me and I'll send you the link. I do a lot of work through the middle, through the upper middle back, and we warm up properly, move through it, and it feels so good. Try this for the mid back. Is it just tight? Does it feel jammed up? I'm gonna give you a couple things here, okay? You know what? That drill will help with rubber guard. Look at what you're doing with rubber guard. It'll help, because now you can, instead of using your hand to move your legs, if you can use your leg to move your legs, it'll help. So try the class. Okay, mid back. Couple things. The easiest one is to knees up, rotate the legs to the left and the right hand to the right. So this is a stretch through the entire spine, a really nice passive stretch. Try this on both sides. I feel like I need to do my other side to like balance it out now. I don't want to be unbalanced. Next one is really cool too. So this will add the shoulders in, and it will be a little bit like upper spine too, but upper mid spine. It's hard to target, especially when you're tight. It's really hard to unjam that and target that. So try this. Start on your hands and knees and walk the hands forward. Keep the hips somewhat above the knees. They won't be perfectly above the knees, but it's not a life or death situation if they're not above the knees. So let me see. Yeah, I'm on screen. Walk the hands forward and put the left hand, put the left hand in the center. Right hand on top of the left and rotate. You can rotate towards the left, feel the difference. Rotate towards the right, feel the difference. So for me, my left hand is on the ground, my left arm is the bottom one, and I'm rotating towards the right. And I'll feel this stretch through the lats, the latissimus dorsi, which is a pretty big muscle group that connects to that upper spine. So if you stretch that and loosen it up, that will stretch that upper spine and loosen it up. It's crazy how it's all so connected. I'm just like, I'm turning into a geek. I'm just like, huh. So try that. Yeah, the latissimus dorsi. Pigeon pose. Do you guys know what? Pigeon pose. So stretching the outside of the hips. And I'll tell you something, for the longest time, the pigeon pose here for years and years and years and years. I had pigeon pose here to stretch the other hip. It always bothered my knee. You know, everyone has knee problems. I'm not special at all. I'm just reading the comments. Mine cramp up a lot. Yeah. So, you know, I didn't have very good yoga instructors, and they're like, okay, bring the right knee to the right wrist. That's fine. But then they say, pivot the shin forward. So you're trying to pivot the shin forward, and then I'm trying to sit up, and my knee is just hurting, and I can't bring that shin forward. And I just have a mess, and I think I'm a bad person because I'm not good at this pose, or I'm not good at this yoga. It's just I'm not there yet. And this also puts pressure on the knee because the shin's on the ground, but the hip is up. So now we have an uneven plane of gravity, right? The shin's on the ground, the hip's up, puts pressure on the knee joint. And I don't like pigeon pose very much. I don't, because of that. Hip surgery and knee surgery, right? Try this. Not all that different. 90-90. I've got my feet right on the camera, hey? 90-90. So sitting down, a 90-degree angle, or S-mount in jiu-jitsu. My hip is on the ground, my knee is on the ground, my shin is on the ground. It's all in the same plane. So now it's protected. And I don't have to put my hands right in front of the shin. You can, or you can shift towards the right a little bit. We want to get a stretch just through the outside of the hip. So I like to put one hand on each side of the knee and drop the chest towards the knee. And no pain. I get to stretch the outer hip, and it feels really good. So that's what we're looking for. In my class, I'm blabbering about, I'm like, look, mom, no hands. Make sure to search that. It's super fun. We go through a drill like this. So moving through S mount on the right side, you just drop the hips if they're there. Come to center, the open guard, right? The sitting open guard, someone's coming at me, someone's trying to attack. And then we go off camera because that's part of open guard. And then you shift to the other side. Find that S mount. What I have found is the outside of the hips can get so tight that you want stretches with some movement to initially release the tension. And that's what this is. So this is a really nice way to keep the whole plane on the ground, hip, knee, foot. I drop, and you don't have to drop low, right? It's your hips, right? If it hurts, don't do it. Don't push it. Yoga keeps us honest like that. And then you go off camera. That's the most important part. And then you go to the other side. I'm off camera on IG, not on the YouTube and Facebook and all that. So try that left and right side. I just really like that drill. All right. Any more questions, you guys? Keep sending them over. And if you notice too, on the back, there's no pressure on the knee. That's why I really, really like this stretch. And you can even movement, and I can gauge the intensity by bringing the knee up towards the head. All right, so that is our conversation about what cramps up. Your knees cramp up, your ankles cramp up, your quads cramp up, your life cramps up. What cramps up? And all right, last thing I'm really excited to tell you about is we have our Yoga for BJJ teacher training coming up next week. And so shoot a emoji in the comments, send over a heart, whatever, if you're excited for the instructors. The course is full, and we sent them just a ton of homework. It's meant to be too much, right? So they get value, and they also receive lifetime access to the curriculum so they can keep referring back to it. I'm really excited to be certifying a new slew of instructors who will be implementing the Yoga for BJJ warm-up, prevent injuries, increase flexibility. I'm really excited about the 45-minute class they'll be learning. And they also will be learning a 90-minute class and a gi cool down and a no gi cool down. So it's just super exciting. And the more I geek out, I always make fun of myself, the more I learn about yoga and then connect that to jiu-jitsu, I'm like, how did I not do yoga for the first 7 years of my jiu-jitsu career? So I'm really excited about the positive change that's going to happen through all of these instructors themselves, through the yoga practice they have to do, and then through everyone they'll be teaching and sharing it with. So we extended some mat time for some people and reduced injuries. So it's really exciting. Oh, Justin, you're in the course next week. Do you know what? It's, you don't suck. That's the thing, you don't suck, because I don't care, and I know Sebastian doesn't care and Adam doesn't care how good you are at the yoga, or if you can do the handstands, or that you have everything memorized. What we care about is that you show up and you're present and you try, you do your best. That's all we care about, because it's really common, especially in my advanced teacher training, everyone's like doing all these crazy upside down, inside out handstands, and I can't do them yet. I'm not gonna lie, I can't do them yet. They're really hard, and the instructor's like, I don't care if you can do them or not. All I care is that you try. That's it. And I think that's super important. So no, you don't suck. You're gonna get in there, you're gonna do the course, and it's up to us to prep you for everything you need. You just gotta do your homework like you have, because you told me you're doing your homework, and you just need to show up and do your best. That's it. And I know it sounds really cliche, but it's true, because it won't be perfect. You know, each student won't be perfect. Each student won't have everything dialed in. Each student won't have the homework completely finished, because that's how we designed the course, to give a little bit too much. And a really cool concept that Sebastian talks about is when everyone shows up, to unlearn everything they've learned. And the concept is, when you have someone coming to jiu-jitsu and they've trained at another school and their arm bars are all wrong hand, wrong leg, wrong this, you're like, you need to unlearn that and you need to start this right. So for everyone just to come, showing up, ready to learn and unlearn everything else that's not right. And through Sebastian and Stina, man, you're looking at over 20 years of yoga experience, but not just yoga experience, the right yoga experience. They focus on the right things, how they teach, why they teach it. And it's the same thing with a jiu-jitsu instructor. You have jiu-jitsu instructors who teach you on your first day the berimbolo. What about the technical get-up? What about the position of the guard and mount? So Sebastian and Stina teach the right stuff. It's really, really cool. So you are ready, don't worry. Do you think knowing some judo helps in tournaments? Most people just pull guard and it's annoying. You know what, Annan? Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Judo does help in tournaments. But again, kind of like what we talked about, you need to know. Justin, sounds good. I look forward to virtually meeting you next week. So Annan, judo does help. And I think people just pull guard because it's easy, it's quick, it's safe. But as you move to the higher levels, like, you know, through all of jiu-jitsu, but especially at black belt, for me personally, this is what I'm working on in my game. I'm working on my stand-up, I'm working on my judo, I'm working on the footwork. Because when you have a 10-minute match, that first initial start of the match will, you know, constitute a win or loss. So it is important to know some judo. Now, having said that, the world of judo is so massive. It's an entire art in itself. So, and you can get lost in it. And that's why I didn't, you know, really super focus on judo, because I'm like, I need to really focus on my jiu-jitsu. But you need to learn the judo throws that transfer over really well to jiu-jitsu. Make sure you land in a dominant position. Make sure you set up what you want to set up. Single leg takedowns are really nice. That's a bit more wrestling. So, you know, even judo's great, but also explore wrestling a little bit, because that affects base a ton. And the base affects also sweeps on the ground. So do explore judo. All you really need is, in my opinion, 2 or 3 phenomenal throws that you know so incredibly well that you know you're doing it, and maybe your opponent knows you're doing it, but you're still doing it. So you get those throws, and then you get really good setups. You don't need to learn 50 throws and be okay at them and not be able to execute any of them. You need a couple really good ones that work for you, that work for your body type. And who knows, maybe 1 or 2 of those throws, like maybe one of those is a wrestling one that transfers over really well. So the answer is yes, you do need some wrestling or judo or combination or a few throws, because when you hit the higher levels, you won't be able to just pull guard. You got 10 minutes. You'll need to spend some time standing up too, most likely. That's my personally biased opinion. What have we got? That is so true what I experienced when I did the course last year. Right? Right? Yeah. Thank you, Noah. Thank you. Perez, you're tight today. Perez, jump into my class today. Jump on the banner on Yoga for BJJ and go in there. Okay. Yeah, Anne, and let me know how it goes. So I have, before I jump off, I have a special guest. So just hang tight, everybody. Here's our special guest. She's our new Yoga for BJJ mascot, and her name is Rosie. She was sleeping. Were you sleeping? Say hi to everybody. And that's our new Yoga for BJJ mascot, everybody. Sebastian actually also had a little puppy, so you got a couple of them. All right, everybody. It was super fun to hang out with you today, and I'll see you next time.